Ah, the holidays. A time for giving, a time for getting, and a time for going and going.
And going, and going, and going, and going.
When you need a break, we're here, helping you make sense of all the good and the going of the holidays. Happy holidays from all of us at ubnradio.com.
You and I go hard at each other like we're going to war. You and I go rough, we keep throwing things and slamming the doors. You and I get so...
Hey everybody, welcome to another phenomenal edition of my... Wow, that was like... The applause just went right down.
Went away.
Sort of threw me. Oh my goodness. Anyway, welcome to another edition of Kobylt and Hayes. We have a great show for you today. We're here with Deborah Zara Kobylt, Linda Hayes.
Remember me?
Huh?
I've been gone for a couple weeks.
Yeah, where have you
I
been?
missed you all.
Dumped me last week. I walk in here and she's not here. I'm like, what happened to her? And then I found out she couldn't come. So
Yeah, I'm sorry
had
about
to
that.
carry it all by myself.
You
but
can do it, girl.
I can do it. I can do anything. So it worked out.
Yeah.
And it
Always
was fun.
does.
You look beautiful.
Thank
Is that what
you.
you did? You
I'm
like
in
took
a
a hiatus to look gorgeous or something and show
No.
me up like you always do?
I wish I could
So-
take a hiatus. Here we are. What a day I've had, right?
I know. And we were on the phone and I said, hold it. I don't want to know until we're
She
on the
doesn't
air
wanna know.
because I want to know all the good stuff. And she said to me, oh, thank goodness we have this woman, Kelsey, on the air, on the show today, rather. And we have Kelsey
Patel.
Is that how you say it? Rude
Yep,
Patel.
Kelsey Rude Patel.
See, you're like me, Deborah, Zara, Kobylt. I do the three of them because I'm still Zara.
Because I'm still me.
Yeah.
And I'm also married.
Yeah. So this is just how it goes. So
It is.
Kelsey has a business in Beverly Hills. You own. Tell us what you own.
Yeah, so I own Pure Barre in Beverly Hills. It is a boutique fitness studio where we specialize in making women look kick-ass.
Yeah, I like that.
And I also have a private practice where I teach in balancing kind of the idea of mind, body, spirit, where I teach meditation. I teach people different practices to bring balance, mindfulness, and just a little more peace into the everyday life we live.
Well, I have to say,
Hello.
I've done Pure Barre. I did it with friends of mine in Brentwood, and I almost dropped dead. It was not easy, and I was so pissed off.
You can't see her full body. She's like a little toothpick. I'm so jealous right now.
I have more like of an athlete's kind of physique because I was an athlete, and I thought, oh,
course.
I could do this, and I really was. It's a lot of muscle strength. It was phenomenal, and I only went a couple times, and I never went back.
It's an intense
You have to work
workout.
up to it. Yeah,
You
gotta-
really do. And it's funny because we have, even just recently, some of the Dallas Cowboys took a
Ooh,
class.
the Cowboys or the cheerleaders?
The men. The
Oh, I'll go.
actual
Okay, when?
players.
Was there a peanut
Not in
gallery?
LA. Not in LA.
Oh, I was going to watch it.
Sorry.
I wanna
Because
go
if
watch.
they show up, I promise I will do every class, and I'm really serious. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but even they were struggling and they were shaking and they were laughing at how hard it was.
Oh my gosh! If they couldn't do it,
true.
no hope for me.
Depending upon the kind of athlete you are, there's different skill sets that
Absolutely.
are required. You know,
That's true.
Pure Barre is almost like something that a dancer would be almost a little better at than I was a figure skater, and it just had different skills.
Different strengths, different muscles
Mm-hmm.
are able to kind of go along with you in any workout. So anytime you're doing a new workout, it's giving yourself that permission to say, this is all completely new for me,
Right.
and I'm just going to go with it. And I always tell people, yes, you have your first class. It might be like, oh, I didn't like that instructor. I didn't like the music. I didn't like the tempo, blah, 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 blah. Give yourself a second chance, always in any workout, because you won't, anything that we do that is going to feel
Awkward.
like we've done it bad, and then we don't feel good about ourselves. So
Right,
it's
then we never
always-
go back.
And
And
we
you
never
have-
go back.
and
Here's
I-
the thing, and this is a bad. Oh, sorry, I've
Look at
got to
you.
get this
Oh
out.
my
She came
I'm
back
very
spicy
No,
after 2 weeks
today,
away.
I don't know what was going on with her today. I
We
mean,
gotta get into
She
it.
needed her therapy here,
Yes.
so this is what's
This
going
is
on.
therapy, but I do want to say something about that. Don't you think if you're out of your comfort zone, that's where you need to be in life, too?
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
Here's two circles. There's
I
one
don't
comfort
like
zone
being out
and
of my
one. I
comfort
know,
zone.
Nobody
but the
does.
magic happens out of the comfort zone.
Bullshit. I hate being. I don't like being out of my comfort zone. At the moment, I am personally and emotionally out of my comfort zone, and I'm waiting to go back in. And I don't know when that
And
day is.
that's
My
the
next
trick.
step is I'm getting out of Dodge, and I'm just gonna go someplace and figure it out. So
But
maybe you can help.
Kelsey's you're a
Absolutely.
life coach too. I mean, you balance it all: mind, spirituality, body, soul. the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's, to me, I had just done an event this past Friday, and there were a lot of different celebrity clients that were coming in and receiving Reiki and some of these different.
What is Reiki?
So Reiki, it's an old Japanese energy healing technique. So you're actually using your hands, and you're not usually touching the person. It's using life force energy, we can call it,
Right.
and to heal, to bring peace, to bring calm. It helps with anxiety. It can help people with sleep issues, sleep deprivation. It's people who sleep too much. Anything.
I have to interrupt you. I also have a lot to say about this because what if your natural inclination is to be very,
Hyper?
hyper?
Not like us.
Maybe not a little bit of anxiety. What if just naturally you sort of came out that way? It's and there's this movement to sort of be very zen and just sort of be introspective and sit there, and I have a hard time even just getting through the hour to do that. Because I'm all over the place.
So my question then would be to you, on a day-to-day basis, let's say a 10 is like, I feel amazing, I feel contentment, I feel peace, I feel like my life is in flow, I feel excited, I feel exuberant about things. 10 is like, I'm at the place I want to be in life. Are you operating at a 10? Meaning, do you feel good all day with the way that your life is going in this current speed, this current tempo?
Does anyone?
I think the
See, but
question is,
that's the question.
how about this? Out of 1 out of 10, where are you?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know because I've had a lot of circumstances happen recently.
Yeah, it's
just
not fair
build
to judge,
upon the
right? She's
other.
had a lot of loss.
I've had a
death,
lot of loss.
Yeah.
I just got back from another weekend of burying 2 people.
Yeah.
And then the month before that, I had another. And 2 months before that, it was another. These are all my family, my parents, and my in-laws, all of them gone. And then
All in one year,
Yeah, all in family members, best
Right.
friends. It's almost absurd. So it's no
Wow.
wonder that I'm like this. If you just
yeah,
go
because
near
you don't
me.
want to lose anything else. You don't want to lose anyone
Well-
else, and the life, and watching life change. Like you were just talking about your comfort zone. All of these elements become part of what we've known our whole life, and then being able to transition and go with flow and in acceptance.
Well, it's funny you said that because I have a very good friend. We've been close for years. And I believe that he now has a significant other. And I said, oh, God, am I going to lose you too? And we're friends.
That's
And
what it is. The loss there.
The loss. And
Yeah.
I actually said that to him. I might have even been yesterday. I said, you too? So in my situation, I think it's just I'm almost waiting to think, now what?
You're waiting for the ball to drop again because
And I'm
it's,
hoping it doesn't.
And
but
let me tell you something. You are like many other people in the world. And that's where we can go into these elements of feeling the need to feel this high anxiety, this kind of like on a roller coaster day to day, because that's where we are more comfortable with feeling the anticipation so that when the fall comes, because we're waiting for
ready.
the fall, you're trying to be ready. But the reality is you'll never be ready for those big moments in life.
Nope.
So can you now come to this state of almost living in the here and now, just taking the
No.
breath that you currently have?
Not yet.
But that's what I'm saying is, and the reason I can talk about this is because my life stream, I grew up with a mother who, God bless her, she's the most wonderful woman in the world, but she bipolar, depressed, alcoholism.
Oh, that's tough.
I watched
that's
her
really
struggle,
hard.
and as a child, it made me always want to predict what I was going to come home to because I
think
didn't
that's
know.
true. I grew up in sort of a fun Italian family, and that was also unpredictable because you never
Yeah,
knew
you
which
never know.
meatball would be
Yep.
flying. It was
Yes,
and that's actually
absolutely.
true. So I think that can create some anxiety. But and I know you've got your thing.
yeah,
I promise
I
I'll get
just-
to you.
okay.
I swear.
Do
but
I get to talk?
No, but you were gone last week. I took this thing over.
She doesn't want me here. She's trying to get rid of me.
No, but just really quickly, your
Yes,
background,
please.
because you've been everywhere. You were press secretary for the U.S. Senate.
Yep.
You went to BU. and
That's
then you-
incredible.
I
I didn't
know.
realize you were press secretary.
Yes,
That's
I mean,
cool.
come on, right? From press secretary to Pure Bar, that's
That's a road.
something else.
That's a different road.
And then you taught when you finally came out here. You worked for a Fortune 500 company out here in
Yep.
07 and 09. You started teaching Pure Bar in Brentwood. Then you bought your own place over in
Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills. So that's
You're a
journey.
go-getter. I like her.
Yeah, I know. Well, you found her. So
I like you.
she found you in Angelino magazine, everybody.
Yeah,
So make sure
right.
you pick that up.
And it's
'cause
funny that we're saying it on the radio because aside from like my parents, I've not told anybody about the Angelino.
well, it's out there now.
But I
it's out
found
there
you.
now.
in the best
We
way.
were
is-
talking about serendipity, and when you're meant to meet someone, it jumps out. Like there were several women in that
Absolutely.
issue, but you jumped out. I looked at I just said I got to meet this person, and I
That's
like what you're
amazing.
doing, and I do believe in that. We talked about it when you first walked in, just how life guides you where you need to go. You got to get out of your own way, right?
And I'll tell you, I can be honest. If you had asked me years ago if I ever would have seen myself in doing this profession and being, as now people like to call it like hippie and spiritual and all this like universe and providence and abundance and blah, 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 I would have been like, I'm from North Dakota. Okay. I grew up with steak and potatoes.
I've ever met anybody from North. Who lives in North Dakota?
That's right. Not many
no wonder
people,
why you're out
to be
here.
honest. But it's true. Like, and when I think about my life trajectory and where I wanted to go, when I was a 5-year-old girl, my mom was yelling at me for something, and I looked at her and I said, "You can't talk to me that way." And she said, "I'm sorry, what?" And I go, "I'm going to be the first woman president of the United States." And my mom said, and she, now as mothers do, she took a big breath of air and said, "Well, until that day, sweetheart, I do get to tell you exactly where your life is going to be and what you're doing."
I have
so
3
funny.
boys. Nobody ever lets me tell them where anything's going to be. So anyway, so now that I set you up, or we set
Thank
you
you.
up,
Yes,
we
thank
know
you
who
for
you
that.
are, where you're from, and where you've come to now help other people
Yeah.
to sort of
Yeah, we
pull
were-
it together.
we
She
were-
had a hard day. So.
Yeah, I wake up. I know you're coming
Yes,
in,
tell
and
me,
I almost
what's
think I
happened?
almost think it happened on purpose.
Usually it does.
Today was Wednesdays are busy for me. I have a marketing job, and I had a lot of meetings this morning. I'm a single mom. Dropped my kids off. They had the most important final today in geometry.
wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that alarm, we're
I
already
would've
stressed.
flunked.
Getting out the door, we're already late. Driving along, trying to get to school, my car breaks down. I'm in my pajamas,
It's a nice
and I
car.
don't have my phone. So I get out. I got my flip
Who leaves without their phone today?
I always have my phone, but there it goes. Somebody's trying to reach me.
But do you see the serendipity just now as you're talking about your phone and her
Right.
phone is going off?
I think
I-
Kurt
like,
did that. He
Kurt
called you
did
on
it.
purpose.
Anyway,
I know it.
but
Why is your phone
what I
always
was
on?
getting at was I have no room in my life for any mix-up.
Yeah,
And
because you've not given any space
Exactly.
for anything to go wrong, because you're trying to precisely down to the
Minute, the
millisecond
second, yeah.
get everything the way you want it to be, the way you know it has to be.
That's a controlling thing. don't
That's
you
a
think?
control thing.
So how do I
Yes.
get over that?
Wait
what
a
do I
minute.
do?
Wait a minute.
Tell me, come on, bring it in.
Imagine if your day was in North Dakota. You probably would have less traffic,
I would've
less
called-
everything.
I would've walked
and
somewhere.
it would have been a little easier. We're in Los Angeles.
I want to say something. I walked to the nearest gas station in my pajama pants.
Oh,
I
that's
did have
so
so a little
brilliant.
jacket on.
I wish you had a picture just
I,
so you could capture
Must
that
have looked
moment.
I
so
go. I
cute.
go to the guy behind the counter. I said, "My car broke down. Can I use your phone?" He goes, "No." I'm not kidding.
What a
I had to
jerk.
walk somewhere else, and then I'm flagging somebody down on the road that I happen to know. I mean, it was like it was a joke.
Wait, I gotta just
pajama
say,
pants.
I'm surprised.
That is
Wait, that they
amazing.
didn't keep driving by saying she's friggin' lost.
Well, I think they thought I
Like,
was.
should I get her a cup of coffee? Maybe
No.
she's like,
No one
maybe.
was.
Okay.
The thing is, no one was nice to me.
If
Not
that-
one person.
If that man said no to me with the phone, oh, that poor man.
Watch out.
I
She's
would
from
have
Jersey.
been So pissed. I'm like, how do you say no to a girl to make a phone call?
He said, "No, I can't let you use my phone." I'm like, "Thanks a lot,
I
asshole."
I love when they.
That's what I said, and I left.
But I do think that a lot. So think about anybody's life, whoever is listening right now, all of us at the table, anybody who's here, is you have those moments in those days where you see that you're up against these incredible obstacles. It's like no matter what you're doing
Yeah,
that day,
you kinda have to just
it's
laugh.
like you're hitting every red light.
Yeah.
You spill coffee on your lap. You get the crazy phone call about another meeting and you're already late for the other one. That is a regular occurrence. What I try to teach in my practice is how can we show up in every moment as the moments come to us. And just, it's a small shift in the perspective and in the way that we look at life.
Okay,
Because a
so
lot
then-
of times people look at life and say, what's being done to me, right?
Yeah, that's
It's
a good
what's
point.
coming in. How
I
is
was
it
saying
happening?
that. Why is this happening to me?
Why is this happening
Yeah.
to me? Why this is not the day? Blah, 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 blah. And we go through all these emotional experiences. But really what we want to do is come into the present moment and take that quick breath and that quick space to say, where am I really right now? What's really happening in this day for me? Why am I really feeling this anxiety? Why am I really feeling so stressed out? Like, fine, my car broke down. Cars break down.
Yeah, it's not the- right.
Look at me, here I am in my pajamas, and seeing, just taking a like moment, rather than being in the stress and in the anxiety of it, to take a moment and say, what's really happening here? And almost taking
Can
a
I
moment
play
to
it out?
laugh.
Can I play it out?
Yes, please, yes.
oh my goodness, my car broke down. That's okay. And then all of a
Never
sudden you're
mind
like,
that I'm in my
and-
pajamas.
And I'm in my pajamas.
I didn't even wear my good pajamas. I'm in
And-
my ugly pajamas.
I'm flagging down a friend on the side of the road on Ventura Boulevard. It's okay. The day will work out. I mean, could you?
I'm in front
how
of
do you
Notre
do-
Dame High School.
How do you do that?
Like that's really what I do.
You
You're
do?
yeah. The way that you just acted that out, I'm like exactly.
Do you
that's
give
exactly
yourself-
what
I could never
I'm
do
doing.
that.
Do you
Could I
give
ever do
yourself?
that?
But wait,
I
I
could
wanna know
never. Could you
something.
see me doing
You
that?
so could do it.
All the lessons, you could like hypnotize me. This would never happen. Oh my goodness.
But maybe maybe she should become an actor. Like maybe mentally just say,
somewhere
I'm gonna
along
be
the
an
line,
actor.
I missed. I could still be an actor.
She'd be a good actress.
because she'd be a great actress.
She
yeah.
really would.
I
But
would
it's
be-
it's
yeah.
about being able to say in every moment,
I
like
think so.
if you really look big picture, and I'm not telling everybody in every moment to say, oh, like look at the sky, and the reality is maybe that's not always available to you. But what you do say is, wow, here I am in this hilarious moment of my life. I have no idea why this is happening. Can I have a moment to just giggle about the ridiculousness of it?
That's what I should have done.
Because part of it is I very much believe we manifest different scenarios in our life in many ways because the lessons that are trying to be taught to us, either we haven't learned them yet, and that's why the same thing keeps coming up and it just has a new face or
I
a
do
different
believe
way.
that.
That's a very good
The
point.
lesson is still there. And until you can shift the cycle and the way that you are reacting to
It's the reacting.
thing, it's going to keep coming at you in different ways, in different manifestations. And that's really what I try to teach is how we can have these tiny little shifts in our perception and the way that we're looking at ourselves, the way that we're looking at human beings, the way that we're looking at our life purpose, and come to this beautiful peacefulness inside to say, I'm perfect right now. And I'm going to be even more balanced in the future. To take yourself exactly as you are right now and still truly go inside and say, I am okay with exactly how I am now. I have a vision for the future of what I know I want to be or how I want to feel. But right now, let me be okay with exactly who I am here and now.
Okay.
Give yourself
Because
permission.
there's nothing else. If
What-
you're in the present,
I like that.
I'll
I
tell
wanna
you,
try
this
that.
is one funny thing to think about. If you're thinking too much in the past, that's going into depression.
Oh, there's
if you're
no doubt
thinking
about
too much
that.
in the future, that's anxiety. So the only option you have is to be in the here and now.
I think being in the here and
like
now is
that.
the hardest for
It's
so
the
many
hardest
people.
thing. Yes.
It really is. And you're right, actually. If you can just be right here, like at this table with Kurt,
At
for
this
example.
moment,
I need a catchphrase. I think I'm going to create one right now. The hell with it.
to hell with it. And it's letting yourself,
That's
giving
a good one
yourself
for
that
you.
permission.
That is a good one for me, right? Because that's how I feel.
To hell with it. Like, I'm here.
I'm
Let
in
me
my
just
pajamas.
enjoy
Deal
this
with it.
moment.
I
It's
need a
really your
catchphrase.
problem, not mine, right? That I'm in my
like, let
pajamas.
me just have fun with
If
the
you don't
moment
want to
that
see
I'm
me in my pajamas, that's your problem. The hell with it. I
The
should have
hell
said
with it.
that, right?
It's so you, but I
It
don't
is.
know what
What's
mine's going to
yours?
be now. Wow, I don't know. Like
We got to go into that.
Yeah.
We got to figure out what it is. And even for people to sit at home and be like, am I like right here and now, wherever you are, right now, how do I truly, genuinely feel inside? Not how I think people see me from the outside, not how I see myself when I look in a mirror. How do I feel from the inside of me? And most people have not even taken breaths and time to go inside
That's a
and
good
actually
point.
connect with what they're really, truly feeling. And the moment, I believe you have all your own answers. And I want to just teach people to go inward and to be able to really look from the inside and say, this is where this is coming from.
okay, look, I think
That's a good
this
point.
is so much healthier than all the people
Therapy.
out there.
You could go years and years
There
of
you go.
spending
Getting
money.
therapy where
Oh,
people
yes.
go and they just sit there and they just drill through their
Vomit out their
problems. It's
past.
vomit
And they're
out
still in
past.
their
It's
own
a-
cycle because they're still in
Yeah.
the story of it.
Yeah,
And they're not going
They're
to.
still the victim. They're
Right.
still feeling the energy from this
So
person.
we're getting a crash course in 10 minutes. So you say you write down your feelings. Like if I'm going to take a look at myself, do you do it in the moments of anxiety? Is that when you should really stop, or do you have exercises for people to do every night before they go to bed? Like
Absolutely.
write down, check in with your feelings. I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, and to just, even if it's as simple as, and I'm a meditation teacher as well, but there's so many complexities of, going inward that people, this is stuff that's been around for
Yeah.
centuries and eons, and I would never pretend that I know
And
all of those things
definitely-
that exist, because I
Yeah.
don't. But I know what feels good and what I've seen what's worked on clients that I have been so honored and blessed to work with over the years. And the bottom line is it comes back down to the same thing. We all want to feel value. We all want to feel worthy, and we all want to feel love. But the most important thing is that each of us feels it for ourselves first.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's you.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Really the hard part. You're
Oh,
right.
yeah.
You know, because I'm so used to being surrounded by people, and to sit there and go, I feel the value for myself is a little
Yes,
difficult.
because you value all of them and you love all of them.
Well, you're always doing for everyone else.
Everything
And
is
then-
give.
But I think when you grow up, you have a background. I'm not going to get into your background. You can do that. But when you grow up and if you have a parent or an adult kind of saying something that's not positive, that's tough.
Oh, of
because then
course.
you grow up
I
thinking
think
that
you
about
might
yourself.
hear. I think a lot of women, because I talk to a lot of women. I'm one of those people where everyone will call me with their issues.
They want to talk, yeah.
They want to talk, and I'm happy to listen. And I think once you have that voice in your head, and you're a young kid, and that's what was drilled into you, I think that's really tough to get out of your head.
How do you do that?
It's a
How do you do
program.
that?
Like if you actually think about, any type of programming, that is an absolute program that because think about kids when they're babies, when they're toddlers, all they have is love in their eyes. It's love.
So cute.
It's so darling. They want to share. They always
Yeah.
want to share food, right? When you give a toddler food, they want to share it with you.
And I happily ate it.
Yeah, me too. But they have this genuine care and compassion and concern and love for everything around them because they're also having it on the inside. And that is what we need to get back to, is this sensation that all of us matter, but you have to first recognize and remember that you matter. That you, and I have this concept, and maybe someday I'll get to it, of writing this book, and it's called I Saved You a Seat. And the seat is actually for me.
you.
Is that, think about a dinner party, right? You get everybody else seated, you get everybody else fed and stuff, but are you really allowing yourself to sit at the table with everybody else?
This reminds me of Adele's new song, Hello,
Yes.
which I absolutely love.
Yeah,
I've
such a
heard
great
her
song.
interview just last night.
She is
that
so
she wrote
stunning.
that.
She's so stunning.
That's not like about a breakup. It's about her finding herself
Yeah.
with all the fame.
With all, and can you, imagine?
And I think that's beautiful. Listen to the song that way.
Stunning. I
It's
have,
about saying
yeah.
hello to herself
That
because she
is
went through a few
beautiful.
years of not being able to handle this fame, and then she had her baby boy, and she realized, she had a writer's block for a while, and the song "Hello" is about herself.
I
Which
didn't
is
realize
so
that.
beautiful.
sort of like
I
Save
had
a Seat.
no idea.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song, and when I hear it that way, now I start crying nonstop. Like it's such
But it's
a beautiful
because,
song.
but that is resonating
Yes,
something
right.
for you. When you feel those emotions, and even when you're hearing a radio show or when you're watching a television program, the empathy that you can feel in those scenarios is also trying to show you something about yourself.
Yes.
It's trying to give you a little window into the true
like
emotional
hello,
state.
I'm here. Remember me?
Yes,
Right?
and the fact that you're emoting with that song is also connecting you back to the truth of you, the true you that's
Right.
there.
But this
I
is
like
a
this.
great thing to say. But it's still, you have
feel
to
it
get
and
it in
be it
there.
and live it.
And I think that's the hard part for somebody like you who really works with people, and for somebody who maybe has a wall up and is so accustomed to doing things a certain way. I've really been studying a little bit people who live in busy cities, Los Angeles, for example.
It's
And I
very
happen
hard
to
here.
I love living here. And
too.
I know
Me
from
too.
back
It's
east,
challenging,
I love
though.
it. I think there's creative people and fun people.
I
have to-
agree.
I really love it. But it can be a little stressful with the traffic, cars breaking down, blah, blah, blah.
And rudeness.
Yeah, and just compounding a lot. And, we put up a little bit of wall. And then how do you get through that? Like, how does a person go inside to do that? How do you, like
So,
she said, a 10-minute crash
absolutely.
course?
A 10-minute crash course.
Meditating?
I'm a big proponent of meditating, and not, in a way, there's no right or wrong way to do
Not like
meditation.
a Buddhist monk. You don't
Yeah,
have to have your
it's-
shrine or anything, right?
People everyone's different in how they're going to connect. And so to me, I just want to help teach people how to get inside themselves, which is where all of your magic and all of your answers already exist. You don't have to be searching. Of course, there's ways you might need to listen to certain music or a guided meditation or sitting with something that or being in nature, things that make you naturally feel grounded and peaceful. That's your connection point. But the idea is to always keep allowing yourself and giving yourself this permission to come back inside to go for the search.
Yeah.
Right. And even
I
this
still
morning,
don't know what that really means.
and we'll explain it. And I'm going to make sure that we do a session together after this. So
I like that. Yeah.
both of you.
We should videotape it.
But the real thing is like, think about
That's a
even
good
this
idea.
morning. Yeah, videotape.
I'm
You guys could
telling
be the
you.
first ones that I videotape.
Actually,
ever.
that's a great
It's
idea.
a great
We
idea.
probably need it more than anyone you've ever met, right?
No,
You're
it's
like
great.
bonkers.
But
Well, now you
I've worked
speak
with
for
a
yourself.
lot of clients. I've worked with a lot of different people over the years. And, the reality is, and I'm sure you guys have heard of Brene Brown, that element of vulnerability. And it's the same thing in the sense of coming home to yourself, coming inside
Such
to
a
say.
beautiful thing.
It is
Okay.
our number
I don't
one
know what-
thing.
I don't know what that means. I'm so sorry. What does that mean? Coming
You
back
need
into
to-
yourself.
you
It's
need
like
to
what? It's
listen.
like
It means
I am
getting
listening.
connected
Yeah.
rather than from here.
Yeah. From
Connecting
here,
into
listen, here.
here and allowing yourself the space to say, I'm going to go on this journey. I don't know how to do it right because you love to do things right. You love to do things and go do them very well.
me or just everyone.
No, you.
Yeah,
and,
she could tell.
and for you, it's about being able to say, I don't have a clue how to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways.
That's a good one for you.
I think that's yours.
That's
I don't know
good.
how to
I
do
don't
this,
have a
but I'm
clue.
going to try it anyways.
I like that for you. Does that feel
Okay.
good
I like-
inside when you hear that?
No, because I don't get it. I mean, I'm actually serious. I just sort of
See,
run
I
on
think she's using her
autopilot.
mind right now.
She is.
I've
And she
always
needs
have.
to-
You
you
can
need to
probably
go-
see the little
I
wheels.
know.
There's
Yeah.
like this little guy in there, just like running the wheels,
going
and going
going
and going.
going. And I sometimes think I just need to. I have a friend, a journalist, in
Yeah.
fact, Margie Smith. Margie, if you're listening or watching, and she went off for a year and sailed around the world with a crew. And which to me sounds actually very appealing. But she went by herself. Of course, you can't sail around the world alone in a little sailboat. But
Yeah.
so she hired a crew, and that's what she did, just to sort of be on her own, be with
Find
nature, and do
herself.
her thing because
And
she couldn't
that's-
figure that out either.
But that's what I'm saying is there's no right or wrong way to do it. And every single one of us is different. Every single one of us has a different way that we need to and can connect inside to say, what is my life? What am I really here for? What is my real purpose? What am I really trying to learn in this life? Where is it that I want to be? How do I want to feel inside? And that's to me the first question is, how do you feel now? And let's say in this crazy wild world, there's a way that you can feel everything that you've dreamed of being able to feel. And let's get you there.
I'm
Yeah,
going
I
to tell
like
you
that.
something that happened on the way to burying the fourth parent. The last
Yeah.
one died on Thanksgiving, actually,
Oh
the
my
day after Thanksgiving. We got the call on Thanksgiving. I know, it was
I'm
my
so
husband's
sorry.
mom. And we
terrible.
just had the funeral this weekend. And
In New Jersey, right?
yeah, and on the way there, I had to have a cup of Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Please, this is true.
That's my thing when I go to Jersey.
You
It's
too?
always- yeah. My husband and I stopped straight away at Dunkin' Donuts.
And John said, we're going to be late. I said, we intentionally left 15 minutes early. No, we're not. We have to go to Dunkin' Donuts. That was my little
needed
lane.
that.
I had to have a cup
Comfort.
of...
It was
It was
comfort.
my little... I just looked at him. I said, that's my blankie. I need the Dunkin' Donuts
Yes,
coffee.
you knew.
And
You
that's
knew.
exactly
You were
what I said
listening
to
to
him.
yourself of what you needed.
But I didn't get my cup of Dunkin'.
You
my
didn't get your blankie?
No, because
No
he's like, no,
blankie?
we're going to keep going. And I said, I'm going to be pissed off all day. And that's how our funeral started. And then I finally sort of let go. And we got there about a block down the road from where the funeral was, the funeral home. There was a Dunkin'
There
Donuts.
was a Dunkin'
I said,
Donuts.
"I'm
I already
going
knew
in."
what you were going to say.
Well, I went in, I got my coffee, I was holding it, and as I walked in, they said, "Excuse me, ma'am, there's no liquids allowed in here. It's New Jersey state law." And I was so pissed off. My point is, I just didn't even give myself a chance to stop.
Yeah. Exactly.
But for me, I think it's just been one incident like that after the other. And
Of
taking
course.
care of older people is something that I had no idea could really be so difficult. I used to hear about it and read about it, but that has given me a tremendous amount of anxiety that I'm only going to guess that even over time will go away.
I
right?
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very big experience to see and watch. First of all, to watch the process of transition of life. It's a very,
yeah.
very challenging thing, and it's part of our humanness, right? It's part of this whole thing that we're in.
This one was compounded, though. It's just
Yeah,
one after
you
the other,
had-
after the other,
yeah.
after the other. And it's like, oh my goodness. So for me, I think that's brought on a lot of anxiety, and I need to like step back.
Yeah, maybe
And I
Maybe
think you
now
need
more
to
than
take
ever.
some time
Yeah.
to actually feel, because it's one thing to go through the steps, if you will, of having someone pass away. And it's you the funeral, then you have the follow up, then you have to thank the people for the flowers, and
a lot
you
of
go
work.
through all the mental parts of it, the processing that you kind of have to show up for, and then you've got to give yourself that time and space to actually emote and to feel everything that's happened.
But you don't get that when you have 3 kids. That's the thing. Then you come right back home and there's that. And there's work, thank goodness, and other things. So that time to go inside, that's where I say, how do you do that? Because that's a tough one, because I don't even know how to do that when there's everybody else out there that I still have to take care of.
But I don't think it has to be
right
long.
there, you just said that I still have to take care of.
I do.
And of course, but there's a way, and this is why I cannot wait to do a session, is
good luck.
Yes, no, it's going to be so beautiful.
You will earn your money.
It's going to be beautiful.
Right,
but
Kurt?
it's because it's the way that you're looking at everything. And it's the exact same thing for what happened for you this morning.
Yes.
Is how you choose to look at everything that's happening is going to have a direct impact on how it reacts to you.
Right.
Right? So everything is a mirror. If you can imagine that for a moment.
That I believe.
Yes,
So much.
So much so. Even right now, even sitting, like everything is a mirror, and it's going to play into the great things, the securities you feel in life, the happiness. It can play into the insecurities and the fears you have in life. But everything is going to be that mirror for you so that you continue to have these amazing moments to show up and choose how you want to be. So next time you see a woman in her pajamas, on the side of a
probably
major
stop and
road,
help her.
you're probably going to
That's
stop
never
and
going to
say,
happen.
I happen to me.
That's 1 in a million. That's never going to happen.
but you never know. Is like how you choose to show up for others and for yourself is going to have a direct impact on how it's showing up for you.
Right.
Linda, I find that hilarious. I'm sorry. I wish
It's
to
so
God
hilarious.
I
wish there was a phone.
I
to take
almost
a
wish
Linda,
I had
I
met you
so
yesterday because I would have stood there today.
You would
I
have
can tell-
laughed.
I would have laughed at myself in these ugly ass pajamas.
And
I
you would have
didn't even
had some
cute ones
amazing
on.
person
They weren't even
probably
cute.
come by and be like, "Do you need a phone?"
Yeah.
And you
Could
would have
have
been
been
like,
my future
"You read my
husband.
That guy
mind."
was an ass, not letting you use that phone.
He was
I just have to
nasty.
say.
He was so
Well,
rude.
I have 2 other things to say about
Yes,
this whole
please.
thing. That whole it takes a village thing. I also believe that in today's world, nobody's really living in a village. We're all sort of
We're
out
all
there
secular.
on our
Isolated.
own.
Yeah,
Yes.
isolated.
And we sort of make friends based on our work or based on our kids' school
Right.
or whatever.
Especially in Los Angeles, it is
Especially
not
in
easy
LA.
to have
Not
deep
easy.
connections here.
No,
Yeah,
very
and then
hard.
maybe you move on because of school or because of whatever, and then those connections are lost. I think that's really missing. That village aspect is.
I completely
Like I could have
Yeah.
called Deborah this morning, but she lives in Brentwood. I'm in the valley, so logistically, it can't happen.
I would have
And then
told
you
to-
just say, okay, well, I can't bother anybody else with my stuff because you go into that state of
Yeah,
isolation. Like I've just got to
I got to
make
figure
things
this out.
happen
I got
for
to be
myself.
perfect. I
Yeah.
got to, I went
Yeah.
home and had the nervous breakdown. I didn't tell you about that. Went
Yeah.
home, my dog's looking at me like, you're weird.
The dog
Seriously,
knew.
if
But
the
maybe
dog
you
could talk,
needed that breakdown
I did.
because it was also releasing other things
It was.
other
I
know,
than
but-
just that moment.
But don't throw a phone, okay? If you're going to throw something else. She threw a phone across the room.
And then I broke something valuable, and then I cried over that, and then I said, "What the heck
You
is
see,
go-"
you were just going
Yeah,
in your
it
own cycle. It was
but
just,
I-
but
you
you
know what?
needed it.
I knew I was doing it, and
Yeah.
I said, "I don't care."
yeah,
Like,
and
you
you
know,
needed to do it.
we
If
need to
someone
hide
walked by
this
my
show.
house, they would have heard me from the outside, and it was not a pretty thing. But I
my
did need it, and I
goodness.
I laughed afterwards. So that
Yeah, the
it worked.
phone I wouldn't have thrown. Maybe the dog, but not the phone.
The dog was hiding under the
No, I'm
bed.
just kidding. I'm a big advocate of pets.
course, of
Please,
course,
somebody's going
yes.
to write and say, wait a minute. That and one more.
Yes.
A lot of people used to look to their faith. And somewhere along the line, and I'm not the most religious girl, but at all, but it was nice if you just maybe go to church or wherever it is you go.
Maybe that's how you can get quiet.
Yeah, just get a little quiet. And that somehow is not a big part of society necessarily the way it was either, So we do need other means to figure out a way to center ourselves.
and to give yourself also permission to have that connectivity, both to the self and also to others. So it goes back to that place. How you choose to show up is how others will start to show up for you. How you choose to show up for yourself is how you as yourself will show up in all of these different scenarios and circumstances. And it's about there is never enough time. And any human being can probably say that in their
And there
given
never
day.
will be, right?
And, right.
So we
and
just
it's
have to
about
realize it.
making the time now, and then you'll start to see by taking this space to come in and just have breath and just have a moment with yourself. It could be 10 minutes a day, it could be 20 minutes a day, whatever you have available. Those moments become the critical turning point to have clarity and flow for the rest of the day.
Man.
So those
You're
few
right.
minutes, it's all it
When
takes.
you walk in the morning, that could be
I
your
walk
time.
and I exercise because not exercise really, but
No, but it's your time. That's
it's my
you connecting.
time, and
Absolutely.
I need it. And speaking of connecting, we have someone on the phone right now.
Yeah,
her name is Catherine Favreau. Catherine, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh my goodness. I've known her for
Catherine.
years. She is so wonderful. She runs a company, a very successful firm called California College Prep, right? Catherine.
Got it.
Talking about stress.
Talk about stress. That's why, I mean, she deals with the most high-level stress parents ever because
I'm sure.
There's
her-
so much pressure now. No
her
one helped me at
job-
all.
I know.
I was lucky I got
nothing.
into any school.
I know. And her job is to help kids get into colleges because it is so competitive now.
Oh, it's
so
crazy.
difficult. I mean, I guess back in the day when we all tried to get to college, we weren't really competing for spots with everyone from around the world.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good point.
So there's so much that goes into it. And she's here to sort of
Are
lend
you
a little
based in
support.
LA or-
She's in
okay.
LA.
I am.
So you're probably in your busy season now, right? This is when they're all getting ready, the seniors. Is this the
It is
crunch
the
time?
It is the end of crunch time.
Oh.
Fortunately, a lot of students are done or close to being done, but we're still in that final push right now.
So how is it dealing with the parents? Let's get right to it. Are they
You know,
really stressed, or are
I
they?
love dealing. I love dealing with the parents.
Yeah.
And I think that
She's
the
great with
reason
it. That's
that,
why.
you know,
She's great.
That it's doable for me is I try to keep, like we were just talking about, everybody as calm as they can be in the process and kind of bringing us back to, you know, what do we need to worry about right now? Or let's find solutions to the problems that we're having. Or this thing that sounds so confusing and scary is actually really simple, and let's break it down right now. And also just being a go-between between parents and teenagers because
That's a
that can
good
be
point.
tough.
Oh yeah,
You know what
probably
I
a lot of
think?
fighting going on.
Because I have my second kid now is applying, and he's a very different student. And Catherine knows this. Catherine's helped us and other friends of mine. If you have to know the kind of student your kid is. If your child does not necessarily have the grades or isn't a kid to go to Yale, don't apply to Yale.
Right, don't-
That's one of the
right.
problems. Now, if he is, and I have 3 boys, and let me tell you, they are different. One's super artsy. One
Yeah.
is that sort of
Smart
more
kid.
high achieving, not high achieving, but you know the grades.
Yeah.
And then the other one he wants to go to a good sports school. So you have to know who they are and then place them there. Have I done a good job, or have I driven you crazy?
Yeah, let's hear the dirt.
You've done a great job. I think that you have been very honest.
What else
and
is she gonna say
realistic
to your
about
face?
You're horrible. Can't stand you. No, you've been amazing.
You
You've
can
been
tell
really
me off
great because-
camera what she really is like. No, I'm kidding.
No, but
yeah,
you,
we'll talk about it after. Deborah's been amazing. I mean, she's one of those moms who, you know, she gets it and she's realistic about, you know, who a unique child is and what their interests and strengths and weaknesses are. And I think that that's so important in this process is that, you know, sometimes I think parents try to make this a little bit about themselves and where they would want
That's
to be going
true.
if they could do it all over again
Right.
or where they went. And while
Reliving
that's
their life.
totally valid.
Mhm.
Yeah. While it's valid, I mean, this is their kids' experience.
And
And
would
it's
you
their
say-
future and it's their life.
Would you say, Catherine, this is Kelsey, I always think, you know, and I tell this to people all the time, what is meant to be is actually going to be what works
Benefit
out.
for you.
And have you seen moments where a kid doesn't maybe get into like the dream school or the number one school, but in follow-up, they recognize that it was all perfect and just as it was
Yeah.
meant to be?
Yeah, it's so great for you to bring that up because I think that, you know, the main thing I try to remind my students of and parents is that there are so many colleges I genuinely feel where a student can be happy and be successful. And I think that this is as much a process of the student putting themselves out there and finding the best fit as it also is the college finding their best fit. And sometimes, you know, there's something to be said when a student doesn't get in somewhere. Maybe it's an indication that truly from the college's end, it isn't that right fit. So, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Catherine. I'm sorry.
With, you know, early decisions coming out here in the next few days, it's what I'm really trying to remind a lot of my students of, which is whether you get a yes, whether you get a no, whether you get a maybe, we're going to look at you again later, we're putting you in the regular pool. It is not going to define the rest of your life.
Oh, I
and
love
you will
that.
have lots
Yeah,
of
no, she
options.
thinks like that.
I love that.
She's
because
wonderful. That's why we wanted her to work with our
What
boys.
a gift.
I don't even,
really, because I have 2 stepsons, and the older one, He is now going into, he's a sophomore, and it's, I mean, the
High
studying, the studying and everything that they're doing, and it's so much pressure.
Are you talking about high school?
Yes, he's high
That's
school.
my kid. Well,
Yes.
my kids are going into high school,
You know,
and I'm
she
having the
lives
same amount of
right
pressure.
near. She lives right near you, by the way. By the way, Kelsey owns Pure Bar over in Beverly Hills, Catherine. So I ought to connect
fabulous.
you guys. I
Yes,
know.
we must connect. But I think it's what you're saying is beautiful because you can see the insecurities already developing in kids at ages that it should not
Yeah,
even be
it's too
coming
soon.
into their belief system that they are not enough or that they are not, going to be as smart or going to be as talented or as creative or as anything as other students. And it's so beautiful to know that there are people who are helping them and assisting the process and actually reinstating how important they are and how great they are during
What
the
is
process.
the name of her business? I just want to get that out. Because,
California
Oh, you
College
said that.
Prep.com.
And what is the cost? Can I ask, or do you not
So-
say?
Isn't it varied?
Well,
I mean,
you know,
I would say
how
it's a
about
little
this?
varied.
We'll talk to you about it on a one.
Yeah,
so you-
I'd say it's a little
varies
varied.
on-
But
it
if
varies on
someone
what a
wants to
student
do it,
needs.
I think they need to know like a range.
But I would say because I've worked with her, I know.
So
like,
you
I
could go
think
to the
it's
website and get a range.
Yeah, and call her
Okay.
because she works
Oh, yeah.
one-on-one with
Yeah.
people.
So it's
Call
way
me
more
and we'll
than just
talk
like
about-
a
We'll talk about what's
consulting.
right. But what I tell anyone
Yeah.
is I never want rates to limit, the ability to get help. So if somebody really needs the help and is unable to pay, I'm always very flexible.
You can make it
on,
work. I think that's-
how we can work together.
I think it's
And,
great that you just said that.
Well, you know what I think is
I do.
important? Just working with you, I think you help focus the kids on writing a good essay because that is important coming from them, not from anybody else. How do you help a kid stand out in an enormous
That's a good-
pool? And in which case, if you do that, a lot of your anxiety levels go down as well. How do you help that along the entire process?
I think that one of the challenges in admissions, like you were saying earlier, because of the internet now, it's so easy for students to apply to so many schools, right? So
From
back
everywhere,
when,
yeah.
maybe we applied to 1, 2, 5 schools. Students today are applying to upwards of 15 schools. And it's really because of the ease of the internet. So while that's wonderful, the downside of it is that the applicant pool increases by so much. And it's so much harder to stand out in that group. And to have the grades and the test scores is important, but it's not everything. And so to your point, those personal essays are really a really wonderful place to help differentiate a student and let a student come across for sort of the unique and interesting individual who they are. And so to help a student get there, it's a lot of asking questions. I like to ask a lot of questions and get students really looking at who they are. It's something a lot of teenagers haven't even really thought about before this point.
Oh, because they're on
You know,
autopilot too. They're anxious about their own world.
Because they're trained by us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
They're
don't know.
products of
I have
us.
to tell you, I also think, having been through this process, a lot of it is themselves because, you go to school and these kids are all talking about college, and I think, why? I mean, because I've never been one to push a school unless I knew that they really probably might be suited for it. I don't know. I think the kids themselves are pushing their own schools. Am I right or not?
I think you have to look at where your kids are in school versus
It's pretty intense.
Yeah, she's at a school that's very intense.
It's a really intense private school, and everyone's always trying to sort of, jockey for position and do, try and get into
I
a
think
certain
that's a lot
school.
of America, though. There's a lot of tough schools.
It's not just here.
Lot,
It's everywhere. I have
Right.
friends at a really terrific public school in town, and their kids are breaking down. I don't even think it matters. I just think
Yeah.
it's the environment, right?
Kids are under a lot more pressure than I was. Don't you agree? I mean, there's a
think-
lot of
and I
pressure.
think even if the pressure isn't coming directly from the school, to your point, students are sort of sometimes putting this pressure on themselves. And the biggest things that my students tell me, coming from all different types of schools, is college is everything that everyone's talking about. It sort of consumes their lives, where it's hard for teenagers to just hang out with each other at this time of year, especially seniors, and not be talking in some way about the college process. And, something else I've noticed that really can up the pressure for teenagers around this is social media, because, all of the kids are posting their results online. They get an
it's so much-
acceptance and it's like
bragging and the other,
accepted to this school. And, even if you're happy for your friend or you're happy for your classmate, I think for students, they still feel that pressure of, oh gosh, well, I haven't heard yet from that school, or what if I don't get into that good of a school, or who am I going to post
social media
online?
has
And
changed.
it's hard.
You know, I have a story about that.
I think it's changed a lot. For
I know someone who
everybody.
posted, their child posted, I got into school and it was easy to get into, blah, blah, blah. And then they reneged on his offer.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
Because
heard
they saw
about
it on
that.
social-
I've
I think
heard
I
about
told
that
you that.
before. Oh, maybe you did.
That's because I
heard
told
about
you.
that from somebody.
But you know, you have to tell the kids, like, don't be bragging because they're watching you. Like, if you say this was easy to get into, piece of cake, and they might not like that. And Renee, he had to go find another school.
I think you made a great point about social media, not just for that, but even what we were talking about, Kelsey. On my way here, I was talking to a girlfriend who was saying, I'm so stressed out. I said, why? She goes, because my girlfriends were at a party and I saw it on Instagram. This is a woman in her 30s, and nobody invited me. And I said, ooh. I said, look, that happens to everybody. It happens to me all the time. So, and it pisses me off too. I get it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sometimes you just got to stay off it. But
Yeah.
good luck staying off it, especially if you're a kid, right?
Yeah, because all the kids are.
Yeah.
They love technology. But I think what you're saying, Catherine, is so great because there is this immense pressure, and it's not just in kids, it's in adults, it's in, people who are getting ready for retirement. It's this element, it used to be, they would call it keeping up with the Joneses, right?
Yeah.
This element where we're all kind of like challenging ourselves to like stay at the height and stay at the level of everybody else and at the level of where we think we're supposed to be at. But again, it's like connecting these kids and connecting us as adults. We have to take our own lessons to say, okay, what really makes me happy? And do I feel like no matter what, I value myself and I value that I have special gifts that might not be the same as you or you or you, but I'm going to follow and focus on that because that's who I am.
You know, but it's almost like it'd be great if this was part of a curriculum
I
starting
agree.
in kindergarten.
I think you should
Yes.
start it.
I'm actually serious because, and then you go up the ranks and you maybe instill a little bit of that, but to start learning this at like age 30.
You know what?
You know?
Yeah,
it's-
because you're going
You have
back
to,
and all
you
of
have to
the
help them
elements.
with rejection. My kids face a lot because they do a little bit of acting, and there's rejection every day, basically. So they actually handle it better than I do.
Because they're probably
I
more
bring this up-
programmed to it because they've had it around.
Well, they're
with
just
the
like, I
acting
know
and
who
stuff.
I am, and I'm great, and they just
That's
next,
amazing.
next I'll do, and I get upset because I have to drive them all over, and it's exhausting. But you know what I mean? Like, I think that kids, have to have a handle on rejection, and especially with colleges, how do they deal with that?
Well, I have a question. These early applications, the decisions are coming out pretty much this week. I know this because one of my kid went early, and we went back. We vacillated. In fact, I would privately call Catherine and say, "Do you think he should go early? Shouldn't he?" And then at the end, I said, "Maybe he shouldn't."
What's the reason to do early? I'm curious.
so you
It's
know
a
when you
long
get it
story.
out
Just
of
so
the
you know,
way.
and it's not stressful.
But in some schools, it's better to do early, right? Because you're showing you're committed and you want to go there. Is that right?
I sometimes think they should get rid of early and just everybody puts it
pressure.
out there at the same time, and then at least a few more months are under your belt, and then you know a little bit more about yourself, about where else you'd like to
Sure.
go.
But you also have to think about it from the college's standpoint, right? I mean, early is a huge advantage for the college.
Yeah, they
early
can-
decision, you're agreeing that you will attend.
That's what I mean.
Right.
So
Yeah.
for these colleges,
First choice.
it makes
Yeah.
it a sure thing. And for some schools, they actually fill up to 50% of their class from early decision.
So you don't wanna-
acceptance.
And kids know that, so they're just pushing themselves to get it out there early. I was at a school meeting, and the head of school actually said, the head of the high school said, a lot of these kids, I think 89% of our school was going early. And he said, and they didn't even know if they want to go to the school. And I thought, geez.
Wow.
So what do you do? Because I think by the time you finish with these kids, they feel pretty good about themselves. She's got such a gift, Catherine.
Be on standby for me 4 years from now.
She will be. She's
3 years.
phenomenal.
Me too. 2 years.
3 years,
No,
and I'm calling you.
Catherine is something else. What do you do to ease those anxieties? Because I've seen you do it, and I have friends that you work with, and they would call me up and say, "Thank God that you introduced me to her," because, well, you know that it's true. What do you do to help these people? And also, I think you help them look inward, the way you were discussing, to help them stand
I
out.
think that my biggest approach with teenagers is just sort of building up their confidence in themselves and in the process. The biggest fear that students sort of communicate to me year in and year out, regardless of the kid, is I really genuinely think I will not be accepted anywhere. And as kind of ridiculous as that statement sounds, I've come to never be surprised by it anymore because so many students genuinely feel that way. They actually think that they will just get rejected from every single college that they apply to. And I think it's because we hear these horror stories about that kid. There's always that kid that we've all heard about who was rejected by every single school, or, you know, all of them except for one. And, you know, that's the reality of it. And this is where I really build up my students' confidence is we're being realistic about where you're applying, and we're finding places that are a good fit for you, and we're looking at what they want from an applicant, and we're making sure that we have those schools where pretty much as long as we do everything right with putting in a strong application, it's pretty likely that you will have a spot there. And then, of course, we're also maybe looking to schools that are more selective and more of a reach or a dream or an I don't know. But I think if we know that we're grounded in some sure things that aren't just safeties from the standpoint of, oh, that's some school that takes everyone, but a safety from the standpoint of, it's pretty likely I will get in, and I would be happy if I did, and I would want to go.
That's great.
I would want the chance to go to that school.
That's what I said to my middle son. I said, do not, and I even said this to Catherine, I said, don't bother putting something on your list if you're not even sure you want to go. In fact, I'm the one always trying to sort of shave it down, like, you don't need that one. You don't need that one. I don't think you need as many as these kids are putting on. I think a few safeties, and then really go for your
focus.
Focus and reach. I mean, I know that some kids just have no idea, but I don't know. So I know you've done a great job, at least in our house.
Well, I'm going to use you when I get there.
You know, but
Kelsey
if
is
there's
too.
one piece of advice, that, Catherine, that you would give parents and students, what would it be?
I think my advice would be take a deep breath and smile and enjoy the process right now, because part of this is also the high school process, and we don't want to just forget about actually experiencing high school.
And your
then
senior
the other
year,
half
it's
of
the most
it
fun.
is be thoughtful and plan early, and don't stress about what you can't control. Control what matters now.
I know.
Look at what really matters the most in the next few months. Let's focus just on that, and then we adjust to the next thing when we get there.
Okay, that is
Well
great
said.
advice.
Touche.
Well said, and I know you're looking
High schools, I'm
at
going
high
through
schools.
it.
She's going through it, just looking for high schools. You need to add that
Ridiculous.
to your list, Catherine, to work with people getting into high schools, because that's a whole nother level of anxiety.
It's the same
No,
thing.
there are even people that do it for preschool and
Yeah, I was just going to say it
kindergarten,
starts at age 3.
It's ridiculous.
I've seen it. And,
Yes.
I was shocked. You know, we went to a small little church preschool, and it was lovely. And there are so many great little places
Oh,
to
I
look
know.
for preschool, elementary. There's so many ways to do this. And yeah.
We're glad you came on and set us straight. I'm excited to meet you one day.
Yeah.
And,
Likewise.
and then Kelsey's our calming agent.
I have an idea. Why don't we all meet at Pure Bar in Beverly Hills?
Yes.
Do
I
we
love
have
it.
to work out?
Yes, of course you have to work out, because you'll feel amazing when you're
Yeah,
done.
okay.
Anyway,
We'll do it.
everybody, thank you for being here. Kelsey.
Thank you.
Catherine, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you later. And it was another really
Thank
fun
you for
edition of
having
Kobylt and Hayes. I'm glad we're here
Cheers.
again. I'm glad you're back.
Thank you, darling.
Yeah, and
Glad
I
to
love
be
your
back.
necklace, by the way. It's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
So, all right, thanks. We'll see you guys next week.